Taylor Swift leaves BC Place Stadium after finishing her second concert in Vancouver on Sunday. December 8th, Taylor Swift took the stage for the second of her final 3 shows in Vancouver. However, after the concert ended, Taylor Swift waved to the crowd at BC Place Stadium before leaving. Taylor Swift invited her opening act and close friend, Gracie Abrams, to join her on stage for her second-to-last acoustic set of the record-breaking tour. Following her I Can Do It with a Broken Heart performance, the Era's entertainer twirled in her purple-blue dress and strutted up to the microphone. "Vancouver, welcome to the acoustic set," Swift said, thrusting her hands into the air as shouts and cheers from the audience echoed through BC Place Stadium on night 2 of the tour in Vancouver, Canada. She explained how every surprise set has a unique selection of songs on the guitar and on the piano before adding that she sometimes brings up a special guest. "You guys met my friend Gracie earlier, right?" Swift teased about Abrams, who was open for her on and off throughout the tour. "She's also my friend, and when I set out on the Era's tour, I kind of made this invisible decision that I was going to invite artists out on this tour that felt like family." Swift encouraged the 25-year-old starlet, dressed in a shimmery black dress, to join her for a combined mashup of 2 of their songs. They blended Abrams' "I Love You, I'm Sorry" and Swift's "Last Kiss." This is the 4th time Abrams has joined Swift on stage during the acoustic section. Abrams bowed down to Swift at the end before giving her 2 big hugs and returning to the center diamond to disappear into the stage as the wristbands in the audience glowed brilliant purple. Swift sat down at the piano to play a mashup of The Tortured Poets Department and Maroon from Midnights. "For weeks now, I've been prone to bursting into tears at the drop of a hat at the thought of Taylor Swift bringing her massive Eras tour to a close in Vancouver. Hearing the lyrics, it's been a long time coming, has sent shivers down my spine, knowing it was the opening song of the epic 3.5-hour show. I practically skipped through BC Place, shedding the usual press conference decorum because the subject at hand was Swift. One look at a promo poster had me squealing in delight. That's right, I self-identify as a Swiftie. Like many, I too lost the Great War in November 2023 and did not get a code to try to queue up for tickets to the Vancouver show, or the Toronto shows, or some European shows I tried for. I held out hope for a full year that I could ask for and be granted media tickets. So, what you're about to read can basically be summed up as my wildest dreams came true. Having watched a couple of dozen grainy live streams of the Eras tour as it worked its way around the US through parts of Asia and Australia, through Europe, then back to the US and Toronto before landing at BC Place this weekend, hundreds of short video clips of moments from the show and the Eras tour movie in the theaters last year, I felt as though I had essentially been preparing for this moment for a year and a half. But there was nothing like the feeling of entering the stadium for the first time on Friday night, and I'm not sure words can even adequately express what the experience of seeing Swift play to an enthralled crowd of 60,000 fans from my vantage point in the 12th row of the floor's middle section feels like. It was rare. I was there. It was the most fun I've ever had. I'm mixing eras here, but that is what the Eras tour is, a retrospective of an 18-year and counting professional music career, spanning genres from country pop to folklore, with a lot of pure blissful radio hip-hop in between. To be honest, Swift doesn't even play my favorite songs, as much as I adore her. With a catalog of 274 songs, she plays about 45 during the show, either in their entirety or a modified version. Given how prepared I was for the set list and staging, being in the crowd, shoulder to shoulder with Swift fans from around the globe, the IRL experience was nothing short of surreal. I was struck most by how profoundly different the music-watching experience is from the music-listening experience. The intimacy of being one with Swift's often stunning lyricism and layered musical production is swapped for jaw-dropping special effects and choreography, and the sound of 60,000 other people singing along. From my spot on the floor, the closeness to the end point of the huge catwalk is at once enthralling but also maddening. At any given point, you are craning your neck to try to see the small speck that is Swift and her dancers, as you jockey to get a look between arms held aloft, making hard hands, people waving, and cameras recording endless minutes. Swift does an amazing job of accounting for the scope of the stage by varying the production with moving risers, traveling to every point on the stage, and large-scale elements that make what is small seem large. The first eras in the show, Lover, Fearless, Red. This is how the show begins, with her dancers holding massive coral and mint-tinted petals a few times their body size, soft waving and bending them until Swift finally merges into Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince from her 2019 album Lover. It's fitting Swift begins with Lover, as the tour's Lover Fest for the release was thwarted by the pandemic in 2020. In her first of a few remarks to the crowd, Swift teased the Vancouver crowd, asking if they happened to know the bridge to Cruel Summer, ordering us to prove it by singing along. Silly Taylor, of course we could do that. Though Swift leaves tracks from her debut self-titled country album, Off the Eras, she wows with 3 of the biggest sparkling country-tinged hits from Fearless, You Belong With Me, and Love Story, the latter of which often prompts proposals in the crowd. Though I didn't see any, the red set brings some of the tour's signature moments, including Swift passing her hat to a young fan chosen to await the honor at the very end of the stage during 22. The Vancouver N1 recipient was an exuberant little girl who seemed unsurprisingly to relish every moment of the special occasion. During We Are Never Getting Back Together, when Swift does the spoken segment, she tips the microphone to dancer Cam Saunders, who is known for giving a different ad-lib response, sometimes one chosen to resonate with the local crowd. He may have worked through his Canadiana quips in the 6 previous shows in Toronto, as he went with the more standard, like ever, but that may also have been because the show was being professionally filmed. The show was largely devoid of surprises for fans making predictions, while fans, including me, had spent weeks speculating what surprise elements the show might contain. The first Vancouver show was devoid of any such mischief. Swift did not add the beloved anthem, Long Live, back into her Speak Now set, opting instead to keep it to its sole song, Enchanted. As Swift sings, I was enchanted to meet you, she extended her arm and pointed, sweeping across the stadium. For a moment, you feel like she is talking precisely to you. The strong beats of Swift's set from her game-changing Reputation album provided classic concert vibes and the added wow factor of some of the show's most demanding physicality and spotlight notes. Speaking of no surprises, while fans have been clamoring for Swift to reveal when she will release her re-recorded version of Reputation, i.e., the Taylor's version for which she will own the masters, this show had no such announcement. A 3-minute ovation followed, Champagne Problems. Swift next emerged in a long, flowy dress perched atop a mossy cabin roof for the sister album set of Folklore and Evermore, aka Folkmore. The surprise albums came out in quick succession during the pandemic and marked a massive shift in Swift's music, pushing further into songs based on fictional storytelling paired with a pared-back alt-folk sound. Ahead of Champagne Problems, which Swift plays alone on the piano, the star reflected on the uncertainty she felt at the time that those album songs would ever get to be played live. Like some kind of massive uncorking of collective relief, the song is always finished by a lengthy ovation. In this case, I've seen it estimated at 3 minutes. It is the loudest moment in the entire show. Being on the floor has pros and cons, but never was it more worthwhile than during this set, particularly during My Tears Ricochet and August. Some fans in our zone ruined Willow by blowing up orange balloons and holding phone flashlights up behind them to mimic the glowing orbs the dancers hold during the song. It was distracting and inconsiderate, as we now had to peer through raised arms and balloons to see anything. Never mind that only a few patches of the crowd took it upon themselves to mount the campaigns, some with paper lanterns, so it had a mild effect. Spat pop performances with pyrotechnics, but it was back to big shiny pop with the Star 1989 star set, with huge hits like Shake It Off and Style. Oh, and there's fire shooting into the air from